This week in high school football.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to This Week in High School Football. We made it to episode 2, and I'm still your host, John Garcia Jr., Sports Illustrated SI All-American, here at Gaither High School in the Tampa area. The beard is a little bit longer. The whistles are blowing. The season is upon us. The rain may be upon us before episode 2 wraps up, but we're excited to give you the latest on high school football in the United States. Last week, we came to you from Clearwater Academy International, big transfer destination, international transfer destination for prospects. We're going to talk about the high school transfer portal, if you will, just about the senior seasons, the 2021 campaign ahead of us, and how many prospects are on the move from one school to the next. We're also going to talk about NIL, name, image, and likeness. If you're unfamiliar, get familiar. This is where the future of college football and college athletics as a whole has already changed. It's about to change even more, and it's filtering down to the recruiting game as well. We'll talk about NIL later on the show. And of course, we're going to talk about the Gaither Cowboys coming off of an 11-1 season. They won their first 11 games with a dominant defense, graduated a lot of top prospects who are now playing college football, but they're rearing up with top prospects coming back for a return to the Florida State playoffs. All that and more on episode 2 of This Week in High School Football. So you maybe have heard of NLI, as in National Letter of Intent, but the dominating conversation this summer has been NIL, as in name, image, and likeness. Let's do a little bit of history together here. Many years ago, Ed O'Bannon, playing for UCLA, wondered, hey, why is my video game character not my name? It is not O'Bannon on the back. It is a referenced player position and player number on that EA Sports basketball franchise. After many battles, many court cases, the NCAA getting involved, lawyers getting involved, politicians, surprisingly, maybe not, have been involved from the beginning. Now we have a bit of a resolution. Still a long way to go in the conversation as to whether or not college prospects, college athletes can profit off of their own name, image, and likeness. But step 1 was taken this summer, where the NCAA unanimously granted access for players to do just that, profit off of their own name. Now, the guidelines, the fine print, just how much can be profited upon, whether there's an equal distribution or a revenue share between the universities and the athletes is still to be determined. There is a lot of fight to be had on both sides of this conversation, but the door is now officially open for a person, a student athlete, to profit off of his or her name, image, and likeness, and to do so immediately. You've probably heard of many of these deals, whether it's DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson partnering with Dr. Pepper and the Fansville campaign. You've heard of Auburn quarterback Bo Nix partnering with Bojangles, not to be confused with Bo Nix Jangles, as a fast food restaurant in the South to partner for the 2021 season. You've heard of DJ doing the same. Derek King, the quarterback from Miami, partnering with several organizations, including a professional team, one of the first to do so. And these players are already profiting off of this name, image, and likeness. So much so that we're seeing prospects even considering skipping high school to get to college in order to profit. Of course, I'm referencing Quinn Ewers, the Ohio State freshman quarterback who was a member of our SI 99, who was at the Elite 11 as one of the top quarterbacks just this past July. Well, now he's not even a high school prospect anymore. He is expected to be at Ohio State enrolled in order to profit off of name, image, and likeness. He's already got a social media campaign based on a kombucha brand, if you could believe that. So, as we said, the door is open, profits are being made, but not necessarily for everybody. Here in mid-August, we heard of a report coming through following NIL legislation in the month of July when it started. And here are some interesting numbers obtained by Ross Dellinger, a colleague of ours at SI. 88% of NIL transactions were from social media. So again, keep an eye on your social media. Make sure it aligns with your values. One athlete earned $210,000 in total NIL compensation in July, but the average was just $471. The median is even lower at just $35 earned in the month of July. So it's only been a month plus, but what have we gathered here? Well, this is America. You are what the market says you are. So for anybody panicking about the college game changing forever, the dilution of amateurism that has been suggested by those opposed to NIL and player profits, pump the brakes, slow down a little bit. This is a very small percentage of football players and college athletes in general that are actually making life-changing money. Will it change? Yes. Will those numbers rise? Yes. Will they rise to the point where everything has changed and now all of a sudden high school and college athletes are viewed as professionals? Not quite yet. So pump the brakes a little bit on NIL, but it is here to stay. We've heard about it making an impact in recruiting. Surely these high school athletes are watching these college athletes being able to profit with autograph signings, car wash endorsements, any small deal to get a couple more meals maybe on your family's plate. We certainly understand how that could have a big impact and an impact that will surely grow going forward. So familiarize yourself with NIL. Again, name, image, and likeness.
Stay tuned for more This Week in High School Football after the break. You're watching American Stories, stories you want to hear.
John Garcia Jr. back with you on This Week in High School Football. So we talked NIL, we talked preseason football. What about transfers? Talk about things affecting the game. Transfers, not only at the collegiate level, but at the high school level, are going to shape this 2021 high school football season. And it's not just the usual suspects. Sure, IMG has many new players on the roster, like FSU quarterback commitment AJ Duffy, or number one tight end in America, Jaleel Skinner, moving down from South Carolina. Clearwater Academy, where we spent episode 1, has many international transfers on that new roster. Isaiah Hastings, Lucas Simmons, many prospects with big-time Power 5 scholarship offers. But we're seeing that transfer market push further into the usual high school avenues, meaning your local high school, your state high school. And we're seeing it for a variety of reasons. Let's take the Florida Gators. We were at the Friday Night Lights football camp to cap the month of July, and the best prospect on defense in attendance, Shamar James, a linebacker from Mobile, Alabama, who committed to the Florida Gators over the in-state Alabama Crimson Tide, but not in-state any longer. He is now transferred to Navarre High School in the Panhandle of Florida for his senior season. The reason? Graduation. Block scheduling enables prospects to get through classes a little bit faster, you graduate a little bit sooner, and you're playing college football that much quicker. Again, tying you back to NIL, you can profit a little bit sooner, get on the field a little bit sooner, learn that defense a little bit sooner. And surely Dan Mullen happy to have one of his prize commitments in the state of Florida while Nick Saban and company continue to recruit him. But it's not just crossing state lines. We've seen prospects go from one part of the state to the other. How about staying in the state of Alabama? Oxford High School won a state championship in the last 2 years, changed coaching staffs, and a lot of players moved along with those coaches. Keith Etheridge is now the head coach at Auburn High School, and several Oxford players followed him to the Auburn High School program, playing 7A ball there in the state of Alabama. Chief among them, Braden Joyner, big offensive lineman. And speaking of offensive line at Auburn High School, it is a huge position, literally and figuratively. Eston Harris has transferred into the program from nearby Beauregard High School. Harris, an SI 99 prospect with offers from Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, and many others. Drew Bobo, son of Auburn offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, also on that offensive line, another with SEC offers. So if you're looking for offensive line play in the state of Alabama, check out Auburn High School. More transition from that Oxford High School secondary. Traquan Fagans now at Thompson High School in Alabaster, just around the Birmingham area. The Miami commitment, another SI 99 member. He's going to play senior year for the defending 7A champions who beat you guessed it, Auburn, for the 7A crown last year. Let's go to the West Coast. You want to talk about transition. Devin Brown, the USC quarterback commitment, played his prep ball in Arizona for his first 3 seasons. Now he's going to Utah, and he's going to follow up Jackson Dart at Corner Canyon High School, a program that went undefeated in 2020 and won yet another state championship. Brown looking for a more wide open offense, one that will help him prepare for USC just the way Dart did in 2020. And if you hear some camp reports coming out of Los Angeles, it is Dart who is commanding a lot of attention. Brown looking to do the same for Corner Canyon High School. So we've seen transfers for exposure, IMG Academy, transfers for playing in this country, Clearwater Academy, transfers for following a coach up at Auburn High School, and transfers for a little bit better and more open and more of a fit when it comes to offensive system with Devin Brown heading to Corner Canyon High School. Those are just a few of the high-profile transfers we're tracking at SI All-American ahead of the 2021 season, and there's no doubt that they'll play an impact on how things shake up. I'm going to check out the Gaither defensive line, because really when you're talking about the Cowboys, last year, they didn't give up more than 10 points more than a few times the entire season. So this is really a defense-first team last year in that undefeated regular season. And a big reason was this defensive line as the wind picks up and the intensity picks up ahead of the season. First up is Mario Eugenio, the Michigan verbal commitment, an SI 99 prospect. Next up is Tawfiq Thomas, another Power 5 type prospect, uncommitted right now. Iowa State, Michigan, Florida, several schools involved with Thomas, but they've got some help on the defensive line too. It's not just those 2 guys. You see great size, great length with this group. I think that's still going to be the focal point of what the Gaither Cowboys do. Eugenio here with no gloves on and the red shoes, originally from the Dominican Republic. So you talk about a story. I mean, this kid wasn't playing football more than a few years ago, and when he did start playing football, he was playing running back. So he's grown into that body. Now he's about 6'3", 245 pounds, and he's an edge rusher. He is pressuring the passer. So there's a lot to like about his game. 30 sacks over the last 2 seasons. I don't know if anybody in the state of Florida has more to his name than Eugenio does. And it is Eugenio for those curious Michigan fans. Listen, it's not Eugenio, it's Eugenio from the Dominican Republic and Tampa Gaither. So they're gonna load up here and hit the bags one more time to give us a little bit of a sample. Again, looking at Eugenio's body, he's really filled out at 245 pounds. You see how long his arms are, really tough for tackles to get into his frame. And he's still got room to fill out, which I think is gonna bode well for him at Michigan. This kid's best football is well ahead. And we'll show you why when he gets back into these drills. And you see the size of Tawfiq Thomas right behind him. He's actually lost a lot of weight. That's what's interesting about Thomas. Thomas is down about 30 pounds and moving a lot lighter on his feet, which is scary given the power that he possesses. Let's watch Eugenio. Footwork, body control. Every rep looks the same, flash the length. That's what Michigan and Jim Harbaugh want on the edge. That's what they're getting. Look at Thomas's footwork for his size. He almost gets through the drill as fast as Eugenio does, even though he's carrying almost 100 more pounds. That is about as intriguing as it gets on the defensive front. And those 2 working together will really be something special to watch at Gaither this year. We got a little bit of a preview. They're gonna line up next to each other more this year. Last year, it was very much Tawfiq on the inside, Mario on the outside. Now you might see them both on the inside together, which is just absolutely demoralizing mentally for an opposing high school offensive line. So this group really is the core of what made Tampa Gaither so successful in 2020, and they returned 2 of the best. So a lot of people are expecting them to bounce back and be another title contender in the state of Florida. I want to check out Kobe McLeod now. This is an athlete, first and foremost, playing linebacker. Kobe McLeod right there with the white gloves on his cage. 6'1", about 205 pounds. You may know his older brother, Ray McLeod, who starred at Clemson, now plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kobe, not a receiver, but plays a little bit of receiver on occasion for Gaither. He can catch the ball, he can block, really an X factor and a two-way guy, a rare two-way guy on this roster. But what makes him tick as a linebacker is just that football IQ and athleticism. He can play in space. He can fill the hole and plug the run. And he'll captain a lot of what Gaither does defensively. So we talked about Eugenio and Thomas up front. A lot of times you'll see Kobe getting them aligned in order for the defense to work. You see he's working some middle linebacker right now, shifting towards the run and making the play soon after the ball is snapped. He'll have a lot on his shoulders. This year, he possesses the athleticism of the modern day linebacker. He doesn't look like middle linebackers I've played with who are 240 pounds, screaming downhill, ready to take on a fullback. The game has changed, and McLeod fits a lot of what the game has changed towards. Smaller, quicker, faster, athletic linebackers who can play the run, but play the pass, right? We're seeing a lot more passing at every level of football. So you need linebackers like this who can play all over the football field. You could even see McLeod split out over a slot receiver or a tight end at times, as you get a little sample of his 45-degree back pedal there. Really effortless with him, forward, backwards, laterally. Just a strong high school athlete, a kid who's going to command more attention the more reps we see of him as a senior. So you wonder, those schools that already offered him, they're limping into a commitment, or could he play his way towards bigger scholarship offers even? What's up, Tawfiq? How you doing, man?
Doing good.
I see you slimmed down.
Yes, sir.
You good? What you weighing right now?
Like 235.
235? 335. Okay, I was gonna say you lighter than me now.
No.
Not hard to do though. So we know about the weight loss, right? Really, really important
Yes,
to lose the weight. What does that do to your game, Tawfiq?
It makes me more explosive off the ball, out of my get outs, and I feel like I can move way better when I weigh less.
What about positionally? You're obviously an inside guy,
Yeah.
but does this allow you to move around a little bit, at least in terms of on the interior, whether you're a zero tech, 1, 3? How does this change where you can line up before the ball is snapped?
This year I'm playing throughout all 0 through 3 this year, so it helps me a lot. And now this year I'm playing 3, 1, 0, 2 I, and all that this year.
2 more questions for you. I saw you play a little bit of offense in the spring.
Yes, sir.
Should we expect more carries for you as a senior?
Yes, sir.
What kind of running back is Tawfiq Thomas?
Power back. Nobody can tackle me, I don't think.
I don't want to put you in a box, but I get it. And then lastly, what should we expect from you as a senior? Not only with the weight loss, but with the maturity, another year of understanding this Gaither defense, which was really the catalyst for what happened in 2020.
Yes,
what
sir.
should we expect in general?
Me more of a team leader, stand up for my team, and be more of a leader to this team. I feel like I owe myself to give them boys all my 100%. And this year I'm trying to go to state. That's the goal.
All right, we should probably get inside, right?
Yes, sir.
For the first time in the brief history of This Week in High School Football, we're inside. Mother Nature is roaring a little bit, but we're hoping to get back out there in just a few minutes. And look, the Gaither Cowboys need the work just like everybody else does ahead of the 2021 season. We heard 2 days ago they were completely washed out from practice and had condensed, shortened practices several points this week because of the rain and lightning in the Tampa Bay area. So again, you know why the hockey team has the name it does, and it forces a lot of flexibility and working on the fly. Right now they're in the locker room watching a little bit of film, trying to acclimate to the mental part of the game, but obviously you need that physical when you're talking about preseason practice. So fingers crossed we'll be back out there soon. We weren't able to film any more practice at Gaither High School due to the rain, but you have a nice surprise headed your way. I recently was involved in filming some segments of star defensive end Mario Eugenio of Gaither High during a spring game.
I told you to watch me.
Here are some of those excerpts from the filming of Country Ball, starring Jesse Chinchar.
Stay tuned for more This Week in High School Football after the break.
Four years from now, you're going to wish you'd signed this kid.
We can't win if they're hurt, and we can't win if we're not executing.
You're watching American Stories, stories you want to hear.
John Garcia Jr., SI All-American here with Brooks Bentley, the quarterback for the Gaither Cowboys, entering your first year as the starter on varsity. Obviously, a lot of expectations with this program given the last couple of years. How do you fold into that? Is that pressure for you? Is that something you're excited about? How do you feel going into this season?
I take it as a challenge. When I got down here, I was just looking forward to being able to compete. I always knew that Coach Carson telling me that they had high expectations. I wanted to get in here and get a state championship. Coming from River Bluff, where I was at, we just won one in basketball, so I know what it's like, and I just want to get them know the feeling and how, because I know they've been competing the last 2 to 3 years, so just want to get them to the top stage.
You got your first varsity snaps, throws, excitement all in the spring game in May. How does that help you go into the fall preseason camp despite the weather as QB1?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. You take those reps. Some people take it for granted, but those are the most important because they get you ready for the season. You only get a limited amount of time before your first game in summer, so spring is really the most important. You get to know your guys. That was the first time I was really around them, so that was really the most important for me, getting my first snaps under my belt. I feel like I'm ready to go for the season. I can't wait.
Sound like a coach, and of course you're the son of a coach, right? Bobby Bentley over at USF. He's been everywhere over the last several years. I mean, your family is a football family. I don't think that's putting it lightly. But what is it like to grow up knowing not only you're going to move around, but you're doing so at the game's most important position, where obviously chemistry, time with your teammates is really important. How did that dynamic work?
Oh yeah, we could play a game of cards with the family, and there's going to be an argument about just the competitiveness coming out of anyone in the family. So it's definitely different, but it's always fun. I mean, we go to the beach. Anything you do, there's always competitive something coming out of it, and so that it's amazing. And it's fun being around them.
Brothers, big brothers, all over the place, mostly quarterbacks. Update us on where your brothers are and the influence they have on your development.
Yes, sir. So my oldest, Chase Dodd, he's at Rutgers. He played. That was his alma mater. So he's a strength coach at Rutgers now, working with the quarterbacks. And then Schuler Bentley is a quarterback analyst at Coastal Carolina. And then Jake, obviously playing his last year at South Alabama. So that's where they are, and that's where I'm hoping to lead their footsteps.
2 more for you. First, I got to ask, who's the best Bentley brother?
Oh, it's definitely me. I'll tell you that right now. I know for a fact I'm the most athletic. They can say what they want, but it's definitely me.
Are you the tallest as well?
Jake's got me by about this much.
Okay. You will be the tallest.
I will be the tallest, but just a little bit more talent.
Gotcha. And then lastly, what should we expect from you as the quarterback of Gaither High in 2021? If I hadn't seen you before, what would I see on tape?
You're going to see a competitive, fiery guy who's going to get the guys rolling. I just want to be a leader. We're going to get better every game. But mainly, I just want to keep the guys fighting, and we just got to get to the top stage, and I just want to lead them.
A lot of expectation here at Tampa Gaither, and it starts with the quarterback. This week in high school football continues on the inside version due to the rain, but we do have Kobe McLeod with us, Tampa Gaither linebacker, receiver. Any other positions?
Living quarterback, just athlete.
Just athlete.
Yes,
huh?
sir.
Yeah, obviously a very important part of this Gaither roster in 2021. We're going to focus on linebacker a little bit. Great defensive line. Everyone expects that to be the strength of the team, but you got to get those guys lined up. You're kind of the quarterback of the defense. Tell me more about that role and how much you take pride in earning that role and playing it well.
I take pride in it because, I love pressure. I got high expectations, even, within my family. So I love, calling the stunts, calling the coverage, just being a quarterback. A lot of people don't like that role, but I just love it on my back.
We talk about the modern asks of the linebacker position. It's not just screaming downhill from tackle to tackle and stuff in the run. Now you've got to cover, you've got to get guys lined up, you've got to adjust to the offense. Being a modern linebacker means what to you?
To being a field general, you got the game changed. Back in the day, there were big, stalky linebackers that just fill the gap, stiff. Now you got to be able to run with running backs, slots, 4-2, 4-3 receivers. You got to be able to move in every direction. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that 3-down linebacker,
yes,
we would like to call it. And obviously that's led to big recruiting attention. Do you envision yourself as a true linebacker at the next level?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. A lot of schools see me at will. I see myself there because I can cover better than most linebackers. I do a lot of DB work myself, and I feel like that just helps me out in so many ways.
For those who don't know, Big Bro is Ray McCloud, who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, played at Clemson prior to that. When's the last time you covered Ray, and how'd you do?
I think before, like, beginning of the year, him and my brother's down here, so we work out every day. I work out with Deontay Johnson, a lot of those guys, Alden Tate, and we used to do one-on-ones. Of course, I get called on a couple times, but they definitely made better. There are some times, for sure, I'll show the clips. I lock them down.
You mentioned family pressure. Obviously, when a family member's in the NFL, it creates pressure in and of itself. But what does that do to you? You said you love it. What does that mean?
I just take pride in it. A lot of people don't like that weight on them, but, I just feel like I see some people around me in the league, even my brother's friends, I feel like it's there for me. I got the blueprints to it.
Got the blueprints to it and playing for the blue and silver Gaither Cowboys. Kobe McLeod, definitely a name to watch in 2021, as is this entire roster. John Garcia Jr. here with Gaither head coach Kirk Carson. Of course, we're inside because of the weather, a very common occurrence in this great state. Let's just start right there. I mean, you guys obviously, like everyone else, in the middle of preseason practices leading up to game one. What does this do for you in terms of planning, and what does this do for your players in terms of preparation?
I mean, it just teaches us to be adaptable. Like, you're going to have to be adaptable in a game. We come in with a game plan, and if it's not working, midway through the second quarter, halftime, we make adjustments. And it's kind of the same thing. The Lightning, unfortunately, we're the Lightning capital of the world. And it just, we deal with that on a weekly basis, probably until about, I'd probably say mid-October. So we got to adapt. We got to find places to go in the building because there's other sports using places. We watch film. We lift weights. We do chalk talk. I mean, you just got to adapt. And so that's, it's something that we tell them, hey, we're going to have to adapt in the game too. You're going to have to adapt in life, Some things happen, you got a pandemic, you got the economy goes bad, you got to adapt. So we try to teach them that and teach them life skills along the way that, you're going to have to adapt to everything in life.
Football, of course, a reflection, a metaphor for life itself, as you mentioned. This team should be pretty good, right, in 2021? I mean, we don't want to put too much expectation on your plate, but look, it is what it is. You return a lot of great players, particularly on defense. Let's start there. I kind of viewed you as a defensive team in 2020. You bring a lot of that back, especially up front with Mario Eugenio and Tawfiq Thomas. What do those guys bring to the table, and how does that defense set the tone?
I mean, just you got two of the best defensive linemen in America. So right there, whoever goes on offense has got problems because you can only double team so many of them. We had a couple nice transfers come in, and we have Kobe McLeod, who his brother plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The kid's probably the smartest football player I've ever been around, and he does amazing things getting the guys in the right spots. But some of the key players that have found their way into Gaither are going to be really special players that are going to not miss a beat from the team that we had last year. A lot of good football players here.
Of course, you got to score points to win, so the offense will have plenty of expectation. New quarterback for the second year in a row, Brooks Bentley, who is just a junior, but obviously with that last name comes with a pedigree on its own. What has his adjustment been like?
When I met his dad, and his dad pretty much is telling me, yeah, my three sons before Brooks all won the state championship, and they all have Division I scholarships. I was like, wow, I got some pressure on me right now. Like, we got a lot of work to do. We got to win state and get him a D1 scholarship. But since that time, he's picked up, I think, 2 Division I offers, which is great. But yeah, we have high expectations because he is, and without a doubt, we've had some great quarterbacks come through here. We had a guy 2 years ago, Tony Bartello, led the whole state of Florida in touchdowns and passing yardage. And Tony was a special, great football player. But Brooks is different. I've never seen a player work so hard and have so much knowledge of the game. He's like truly having that, we got a big staff. He's like having our 14th coach on the field. Like, this guy is just, it's amazing. Like, he's kind of like a clone. I know it's probably a horrible cliche, but kind of like a clone of Tom Brady. All he wants to do is learn, get better, and, just make himself a great football player. He's pretty special.
Lastly for you, Coach, obviously the foundation really strong here at Gaither. I think, 24 wins, 23 or 24 wins over the last couple of seasons. How do you back that up in 2021? And where do you improve from here to playoff time to make sure that maybe you push it a little bit further?
Well, I mean, every year brings up a new challenge. The year before last, we're 6 minutes away from the state championship, and we turned the ball over 6 times, and you can't win football games when you turn the ball over. Our defense balled out. We played great, but we turned the ball over too many times, and it just wore down. Last year's team, we didn't have time to kind of bond with the COVID, and it was a different team, different vibe of kids. We became very selfish. And I think it kind of hurt us in the end because we weren't a band of brothers. We were kind of a band of guys looking out for each other. And, it didn't have a good vibe. This team is very similar to the team we had in 2019, just a bunch of great kids. They work hard. They play for each other. And, those guys set a high bar for these guys. And these guys have a high bar set. I mean, they're state or bust. I mean, that's just the philosophy that we're trying to bring here is like, yes, you want to win, you want to beat your rival, and you want to make the playoffs. All those things are our goals. But, over the last couple of years, we've been so close to the state championship that we feel like, this is our year. We do.
You heard it from the man himself, state or bust for the 2021 Gaither Cowboys. John Garcia Jr. here with Coach Kirk Carson and Mario Eugenio, probably the top prospect, as far as we know, at Tampa Gaither. Coach, let's start with you. This kid has grown physically. We've seen him play better as time has gone on. 17 sacks in 2020. Where's his game at now, and where does he get better?
I mean, he's at the top of the mountain right now. He's getting better and better every day. He wants to get better and better every day. He listens to his coaches. He's always trying to get that edge. And, what he's been working on recently is kind of the mental edge, like, trying to get inside some of these offensive linemen's heads and, really learn the game, watch a lot more film than he had as a sophomore. He wasn't watching any film. He was just going on just great athleticism. And now he's become the complete player because he watches film, he sees his opponents. He's like, Coach, man, that guard on that team's weak. Put me at the 3 tech. I'll beat that guy every time. Those are the things that he didn't do as a sophomore. And now he's, the senior leadership is just, blossomed.
So you've polished up and you've also bulked up a lot bigger heading into the 2021 season. What did you do to refine your game and your body?
Well, I just started working out a lot more, twice a day, working out on my benches, D-line workouts, eating more meals, getting on a meal plan, and that's really how I got bigger and stronger.
Coach mentioned the mental game. What does that mean to you? Educate us on what that means for a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, improving your mental game in addition to the physical.
Well, I feel like once you watch more film, you see like the little things, like if he puts too much hand, or lineman puts too much hand on his down hand, too much pressure on his hand, it's going to be a run. Light hand is going to be a pass. You can tell the difference once you get down in the line in the stance.
Where does his game go from here? He's a Power 5 verbal commitment. How many? 30-plus scholarship offers. Where does Mario improve as a senior ahead of his college game?
Well, I mean, he's got the work ethic. His work ethic is phenomenal. Just the little things of just, like we said, just the film watching and just understanding, like, how to become a complete player. We talk all the time about just the little things like, Tom Brady is like the first to get there and the last to leave. That's what it's going to take. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of big, strong kids up at Michigan that, he's going to compete against. But, if you can have some sort of little edge over them, like, hey, man, like, I know how to watch film. Like, I know what to look for. Like, little things like that, I think are going to help him at the next level. But, I mean, we've got big goals for Mario this year. I mean, listen, we have tremendous team goals, but him and I have set goals for individual things. I used to coach a kid many years ago who still has the county record, 27 sacks. He's got 27. Anytime that he starts to not just he's gassed and he's hurting in practice, I'm like, doesn't look like you're going to get that 27 this season. And, man, he peps right up and he's ready to roll. Like, we've set that goal. We want we want him to have that 27 sacks. And, I think he's 10 away from the school record for career sacks. And I think he's like 12 or 13 away from the county record all-time sacks. So, I mean, we've got big plans, and he knows, he understands it's a team game, but by him getting sacks and where we put him, that's gonna make us win. So, he's we've got high goals.
Big numbers on some of those goals for you, Mario. How have you noticed offensive changing how they want to block you, whether it's late in last season or the spring game this year, even though it was limited action. How have you noticed the adjustment to you?
Well, with our defense, we have me and Tafik Thomas, so they can't just block both of us at the same time. So if they see me on one side, they're going to try to go to the other side, but we also have Feek, so it wouldn't like really match up right. So if we're both on the same side, they'll just go away from me and him.
Who's better?
Oh, between me and him?
Yeah.
It depends who you ask the person. I'm tell you it's me. If you ask him, he'll tell you it's him. But that's my little brother, yeah.
Little brother. Notice he said little brother, even though Tafik is, 6'4", 3+. Yeah.
6'5".
Right. So as you guys can tell, this Gaither defensive line and defense as a whole will be something to watch. So we thank you for your time, and we'll be looking forward to watching you guys play in 2021. And for us, it'll wrap up the Reign episode 2 of This Week in High School Football. Follow us on social media, ask us questions, and next time we see you, there'll be some sunlight and hopefully some full gear as we get closer to kickoff for the 2021 season.
Welcome to Forever, man. Let's go. Go. It's forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. Go. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself. They call me J.O.A. to the easy E-N. Know that we undefeated. Y'all are beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance. But his lines are overhead. Better check the air for clearance. Call the tower. This is ours. Clear the heat.